everybody, and welcome to another episode of Ljubljana Talks, recorded live at IMEX 2025 here in Frankfurt, Germany. And with Gorazd, we have another great conversation ahead of us with Nicole Osibodu, that we're going to be talking about so many fantastic things, and especially so much about work and ideas about work and how do they work.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't love to think of any ideas that I have as work. So it's more of just getting to live life and have a lot of fun and somehow get paid for it.
There you go. So it's actually a conversation we've been having the last couple of days quite a lot, is about this distinction about work, private time. And what we notice, similar to the military, is people sometimes start to identify themselves with their work to an extent that perhaps it becomes a challenge for them to have a different identity.
Yes.
So when somebody retires, they're struggling. Do you see that as a danger?
Yes. Well, I'm glad you actually, I don't know about a danger, but I see an area for opportunity and improvement. I would say that in the military, and I was actually married to somebody in the military, so I actually get that. And it is your identity, and it's also your community. And so I say that, like, it's almost, once you retire, you can still, like, those friendships come with you outside of that forever. But absolutely, yes, it's kind of this little bubble that you live in. And it is hard sometimes to get out of that and say, like, well, what do I do with my time? So I would love to rephrase and say, like, when we're talking about work, or when I'm talking about work anyways, and maybe I'm just lucky, but I've really worked it backwards to do what I feel like is my calling as a human being, and build those friendships and build the community, which is all like about, that's what Club Ichi is all about. And then be able to go and do fun things and do business and make money with those people. So I would love to rephrase the idea of work. I do absolutely understand what you're saying. And I would say that don't lose yourself in the logistics.
You mentioned a word that was mentioned actually in one of our previous conversations with Joe Goldblatt, and he said there's a big difference between a work and a vocation.
Yes.
So how would you differentiate the two?
Yeah, I would say work is something that you have to do because you have to make money, and there's some things that you absolutely check the boxes. You need to be able to do the contracts and that kind of thing. That's work, because I don't consider that very much fun. Okay, a vocation is, how do I want to be in this world? Who do I want to interact with? And then who do I get to go make money with? And in order to make money, you have to do work, which is all the boring stuff. So I would say that the vocation and purpose, and I would say that success in life, honestly, is to be able to have somebody else do the work for you. And those are the boring things. And so we've hired for that. And I don't do the boring things anymore. So I don't work.
Nicole, I eagerly wait for more about you. Tell us more about you, about your story, about Club Ichi.
Yes.
All what you want to share with our audience.
Absolutely. So Club Ichi is a B2B, a private membership club for B2B event marketers. So those are the ones that are, director level and above, the strategic thinkers, people that control budgets, that make the decisions, and they're really responsible for conversion. So they're not really focused on the logistics of things, but they also get to focus on the big ideas of things, where they're going. Like, how cool is it to sit in a company and be able to help decide direction for things where, yes, it's work too, but just where the company is going, what's trending, and real time and whatever, because that provides for yourself, for your company, and for your employees, something exciting to do, and you're really with the times. But my background formally is I came from the agency world. I've only once, when I was 16, got a job that had a job description. I've talked myself into every single position that I've ever had. And then when I don't like the options on the table, I like to say I don't offer odor off the menu. When I don't like the options on the table, I create my own, absolutely. So when people tell me this is how things work, I literally get a little bit excited inside, because I know I'm not about to do that. And I'm about to do something else that's more fun. And so that's really and as you go through life like that, you pick people up, right? And you have them in your crew or your club. And that's exactly why we started Club Ichi, was when you get to a certain point in your career, you get bored. And it's not because of you. It's because sometimes, especially the higher you go up, and especially when you work in corporate, who can you go talk to about your challenges and your problems? You surely can't talk to your team, because then they might look at you like, well, maybe they don't know what they're doing. And why are you asking me? Aren't you supposed to tell me what to do? And then you can't, if you're on the corporate event marketer side, you can't put that out on LinkedIn because you'll get attacked with too many options. And I don't want to say attacked in a bad way, but there are so many options. So who do you go to? There was nothing. And so that's why we created Club Ichi, as a place to go when you truly want that connection, instant introductions. Our Slack channel goes all day long, crazy. So does my cell phone, because that's the kind of relationships that I have. Here's my cell phone number. Call me, text me, anything that you need. And so that's kind of how, I float through life, like a little bit, having fun, doing all of those things. Very much into my role is around partnerships and sponsorships. And really, because I love to be like, let's bring people together and let's do things and let's make a lot of money. Okay, so that's what some people are afraid to talk about. Like, cool, you have a vocation, and cool, you have whatever. If it doesn't make you money, how are you supposed to support the life that you want to have?
Unsustainable at the end.
Yeah, it's unsustainable, right? And to get to go to countries. I mean, Liz and I have been to so many places that are absolutely amazing, and we're just trying to, this year we're focusing a lot on video, content. We're creating the first reality show in the whole industry, which is going to be so amazing. Tune in.
It will be a kind of criminal spies there. Or
okay, we say it's like somebody feed Phil.
On the floor.
Maybe, might be dead bodies. It's like going to be a combo of somebody feed Phil, no reservations from Anthony Bourdain, and a little sprinkle of bridesmaids.
Wow, nice. But why there is so many boring events still?
Yeah, because people are too scared to not do what they've done before. And I will also say sometimes it's not their fault, because sometimes they're in an organization or their job requires them, like if this, the executives, and they don't have, power over what they're being told to do. If they're like, it depends if they're doing return on ego, which is like where the executive's like, well, I want this. Return on ego, ROE, okay? If they're being told, well, I need this, then yes, you have to fulfill some of those executive things. But the way in which you gather, I think, is absolutely broken from the traditional sense. This event is fine, but I don't love it. This is not the way I would do it. And this is not, everybody's so drained at the end of the day, and then you throw parties and alcohol and sugar and so much food and logistics, and it's just crap, right? And so, and I think that traditional events where who wants to sit and listen to somebody else talk at them in a dark room all day? They don't.
Everything you said, I can just say I agree with you, because I see you bring an energy of change and experimentation, and Club Ichi is your child, to put it this way, right? So I just want to go one step behind, because now I see your shirt and I notice you are using the hiragana, the Japanese alphabet.
Yeah.
So Club Ichi, number 1.
Yeah.
What's the meaning behind the 1?
So Club Ichi, Ichi is from a Japanese phrase. They're great at picking that up. As Ichigo Ichi-e, which means one moment, one time, which as event professionals, I get goosebumps. That's what we're all trying to produce. Right? And from biz dev to sales to the execution of the event to the destination, what they want to do, the people that live there, what are they trying to bring to the front? It is something that's absolutely unforgettable. And it's something that might be repeatable, but how you experience it in that moment, how your attendees experience is once. And so the idea of bringing that into a club or a community that literally is one, that's what we're all trying to do. So Club Ichi means we are one.
How would you apply that to this, to the IMEX, to the big exhibitions?
Yeah.
How would you change it?
I would say that subgroups. So I would say that the event has to start long before, and that's not in the app. The app is a medium by which you can connect and do the things. So I would have little almost these little clubs within, right? And so we brought a hosted buyer group here, for example. So we brought 20 people. We have our WhatsApp going all the time. What meeting are you in? Where are you at? What are you doing for dinner? You know, some things we coordinate and some things we don't. But our little pod of people, we are totally united. I can tell you what's happening on the floor right now with my group of 20, right? And so if we potentially, like, what if you took somebody like 2 people, a destination or a DMC or whatever, and you paired them with the first timer, and you just, maybe those people have 5 first timers and they're just talking throughout the day. And so it's a little tiny group of 6, because there's no way, that's the thing, is when people try to connect thousands of people together, it doesn't work. Right? It doesn't work. There's an energy here for sure, but there's no way. There's like probably 2,000 people here I won't even meet, and my whole job is to float around the floor and meet and hug everybody. So I would say create little pockets beforehand and say, you know, you're assigned, these are your people. You're going to go through in a more intimate setting with each other, and then we're all going to be a part of the whole as well. And so everybody makes sure that they don't feel lost and alone, because there's absolutely people here that are walking around that will leave and are so overwhelmed they won't do anything. And then the email follow-ups come up next week or in the next 2 days. Hey, so nice to meet you. And you have 400, like, think through that, right? It's like, that's not a way to connect and interact. So it could be better.
And what to do with those who are introverts, actually? How to touch this point, you know?
Yeah.
How to manage to make networking easier for introverts. Do you have any ideas to share? Or
Yes. So we do something at events, and it's called the Event Wing Women or Event Wingmen. And those are people that purposely, so let's just take a cocktail hour. So the most basic, right? We have some music. We have, we'll say 150 people in a room. You walk in the room, and if you're an introvert, you're like, what do? You stick to the walls. You stick to one person, and then you try and like face each other and create this closed bubble, that because you're uncomfortable and you don't know how to go and bust into the other circles. So one thing that you can do at any event is have actually 3 people. So 3 people per, 1 person per 50, or 3 people for 150. Their job is to make sure, they're called circle busters. Okay, so they would find a circle and be like, hey, you know what? Let's make this U shape just in case somebody else wants to come in. That literally tells you that's the vibe here. You are to let people into the conversation. When they walk up, it's not going to be weird. And those little tiny quick interactions, or you know what I mean? Like I do this to people, and I push them back, and I'll be like, oh my God, you're so great, blah, blah. And they actually move and they open, and that's the kind of thing. And so those people are floating the room. They're also, and those people, they don't have to be extroverts, like a little bees. Yep. And then they're also going around and seeing introverts that are in a conversation. Hey, I don't mean to interrupt your conversation, but if there's anybody, would you like me to introduce you to anybody? Do you want to get into a different circle? Let me know. I can help move you around. And they're like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. And you know, the one thing I love the best about introverts is they have the best conversations. They are some of my best friends. They look for extroverts, really, because they're like, oh my gosh, I want to kind of siphon off their energy. But extroverts look for them to kind of like ground me. Sometimes I'll look at an introvert and be like, are we doing good? Should we move? We should move. Okay, and then I'll move it. And so it's just, if you have designated people to move the room around, they'll be so appreciative, and everybody will have a better time.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So tell me, what do you love about our industry? What are positive things and what are negative things which you want to share with our audience?
Absolutely. Okay, so the number one thing that I love is that it's kind of like the military. When you say you're in events, you're like, yeah, like you get it, you connect with them. You have just an understanding of a world that nobody else gets. And that is really cool, because that's the basis of all, communication, and just what makes it really fun is instantly we get 50% into our relationship, where I can literally say, oh my God, I'm so glad you're in events, and I know we just met, but here's what I'm looking for. And you're not going to think that's weird. You're immediately going to be true. You know what? I know somebody, and we have instant trust. And so instant trust is one of the great things. I would say that one of the more negative side of things, and this I'm going to go like more introspective, is sometimes it's really easy to lose yourself to the work and to your role. And so I would say both on the, and I hate the word supplier side, but on the supplier side or the brand side or the corporate side, it's really easy to get so busy that you forget that you need to expand your network and be working in it. And this is why it's important, is because right now there is a lot of layoffs. And when the corporate people get laid off, they sometimes find themselves in a position where I don't even have a resume. I don't know anybody right now outside my role. Now what do I do? And so to call on this powerful network that you realize you don't have, then they're spending their time trying to find a job, which we have a lot of members in Club Ichi that are like, oh my gosh, thank God for this community, because now I can find both. I can find job listings, but I also can have connections, and I can post in here and say, I'm looking for a job, here's my role. And even just talking to us, right, is I'm like, hey, I just saw this role come across, or it was sent to just us. You should apply for it. I'll send a connect message for you. That is the power of community. And I think that kind of goes like, positive, negative, positive in the end, right? Liz has this quote that I absolutely love, and somebody just quoted it, one of our members, in a graduation speech on stage, and they said, your network is your net worth. And that is so true. I get goosebumps again, because you always have to be building that. And so never get in a position where you feel like you're good or you're set or you don't need anybody else, because you absolutely don't know when the time will come that you do.
I'm going to steer away from a wonderful topic you opened up, but there is a topic that I want to open up because it's the topic of this conversation, the way we designed it. So we said crazy, awesome events where wild ideas work. What's the wildest idea that works that you would like to share with our audience?
Absolutely. So the way in which we come up with any of our crazy ideas is playing a game called You Know What Would Be Fun? Okay? And that's all I need to say to you. You can go anywhere. You could be in a bathroom stall. You could be at an event. You could be at a gala. You could be at a family event. You could be sitting there on your couch, and you can look around and be like, you know what would be fun? And then somebody around you will be like, what? And that's how you start that discussion. So that's how Liz and I start all of our crazy ideas. A crazy idea that right now that we have that works is the world's first secret business trip. And so, yes, it's called Secret Family Reunion. We did the first one in 2019, and we had 80 experiential marketers show up at JFK, pay for tickets, give us their passport in advance. We told them how to pack for 5 days, what kind of weather, and that's literally all we told them. And they showed up, and we had a giant reveal party moment where we revealed that we had chartered a plane and we were taking them to Tuscany. And in this moment, I was like, everybody's going to fall on the floor, they're going to cry, they're going to do whatever. And when we went 3, 2, 1, Tuscany, and we dropped this sign, there was silence. My heart fell out of my stomach. Because I was like, do they not like it? Then I was like, got all like imposter syndrome. And it was because they were thinking in their mind, is there a Tuscany city in the US, which there is? And they're like, oh, Italy, okay, because we had used a script font and you couldn't see it. So, yeah, so this wild and crazy idea is so popular, and it was literally the talk of the industry, that we're bringing it back in May of 26. I think will be for the last time, and that is going to be for 50 people, so 50 event marketers, and all they will be told, we're releasing tickets in a couple weeks, is exact same thing.
Are you taking them to Tuscany, US?
No.
That would be awesome.
Spoiler alert, it's not Tuscany, US, okay?
What gets you out of the bed in the morning to wow the world, to create amazing wows? What is your inspiration too? What can you say about it?
Yes, I would say honestly, what wakes me up in the morning is my brain, is what I dreamt about the night before. So I am the kind of person, I totally have ADHD. I go to bed having dumped my brain with a list of things that I want to do. I don't really have a lot of lists of what I have to do. That's why I have an assistant for, hey, here's what I need to do. Can you do it for me? But what I want to do and who we're talking to essentially at the time. So what my conversations are, especially because I have big partnership conversations. I start at the top. What if you did this giant thing for this much money? I quickly say what I want to happen and how much it is. If they don't stop the conversation there, now it's so exciting, So I love to have conversations that add an extra zero. So that's like really what I get up in the morning is, what can I nail today by 5 o'clock? I try and end at 5 so I can have, my family loves when I'm present and don't talk about what I do. And so that's literally, I'm just like, what can I push over the mountain by 5 o'clock that would take somebody else 6 months. Just because it's a fun competition for me.
Oof, what a story, actually. We are coming to the end of the Ljubljana talk, and usually we ask you some questions,
Sure.
which we call fire questions.
Do it.
But first of all, let's wrap up the whole story of yours in 3 words.
In 3 words?
Yeah.
Magnetic, goosebumps, glitter cannon.
Wow. My classical fire question is virtual or live events, in line with what we talked before. You can decide for one option or another.
Do you mean what are live events?
No, virtual or live events.
Oh, live events every time.
A welcome reception or a gala dinner?
Welcome reception.
Day or night?
Night.
Thank you so much for
thank
coming
you.
to Ljubljana Talks. Nicole, it was a pure pleasure. Thank you for all this wonderful energy that will probably just take us throughout the day.
Close,
Woo!
It's amazing.
Take it.
There you go. And thank you, all of our viewers, and see you soon. Thank you.
See you soon. Bye.